Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Happy Tuesday here on the Vype Live Network, your home for the Eastview Patriots basketball. Still very early in this season. It's going to be only Game 3 for the Patriots. Game 2 for their opponent here tonight, who comes into this one 0-1, as we talked about last week. Everybody's still trying to get their legs under them, still very early in the season, but the Liberal Arts and Science Academy of Austin comes into tonight looking to right the ship, so to speak. They come in tonight 0-1, got taken to town last week by Hendrickson, losing that one 109-48. Eastview been busy since we last spoke with you here on the broadcast. Of course, you were here with us last week. Hendrickson feeling like they had to, I guess, outdo what Eastview did a week ago against Navarro. Eastview, though, 102-26, the final score of that one last week. But then much closer the following day on a Saturday afternoon at Liberty Hill, 58-56. I think that's going to be a little bit more the norm of what you're going to see. Maybe not necessarily, 2 points, but, certainly I think you're going to find yourself below that 100-point mark pretty substantially. You're probably going to see yourself kind of floating around that, anywhere between the 50 and 80s. Just kind of depends. Every game is so different, and there's such a different ebb and flow to it. It's such a mixed bag. I use that analogy. It's just such a mixed bag. You never know what you're going to get, and it keeps changing. One minute it's going to be a high-scoring affair. Everybody's going back and forth. You're wearing out the floorboards and wearing out the sneakers because you're just having to go up and down the court so much. Other times it's more of a defensive battle where you maybe spend more time to one side of the floor or the other, and it's a lot of passing around. You're having a tough time penetrating, having a tough time attacking the basket, and it keeps that score down just a little bit. It happens. I mean, it's part of it. It's part of the sport, and it's what makes it, I think, so much fun that you get so many differences. And the other part of it, that it's so easy for players to be able to kind of, take it upon themselves when they need to. And you get a little bit more outstanding individual performances. And it's still a team sport. I don't want people to think that it's not. But, when you compare football, you compare the high school sports, right? You go to football to volleyball, very much team sport, team-centric, and still is across the board, right? You talk about complementary, though, in different facets. So as you get into the basketball and the baseball world, where it's sometimes playing complementary, playing good team basketball leads to one player to just turning it on and keeping it on and going on a run for themselves, that they get hot, they stay hot, and you keep feeding it to them and let them kind of rack up points, rack up skills. So, it's just so much fun. You never know what you're going to get as we get set here for the national anthem. We'll get your starting five here on the floor in just a moment. But, first kind of want to continue just kind of the discussion that we're having here along the lines, of, what this game just kind of continues to turn into. Last week, you saw it from Friday to Saturday, right? Two very different results. One, a very lopsided affair where Eastview nearly wins by 80. And that's the margin of victory. And then the next day, the very next day, it's a 2-point margin of victory. You score, just a little more than half of what you'd scored the night previously. So it's such a mixed bag, and especially as you get at the high school level, you run into so much more being juggled, exams, and especially at this time of year, you run into just a little bit of running into exams, right? You've got midterms, you've got holidays. I know, obviously, the higher up you go into college level, you kind of have the same thing, but it's so much different because there's just usually so much going on, especially at this level where you're talking about you maybe have some guys coming over still for football season that may try to still get worked in. Then you have, baseball season's kind of around the corner, and some guys kind of manage in preparation of that as well. It's such a mixed bag. Now, that being said, some guys, I think once you get to the high school level, kind of pick a sport, they stick to it. You don't see too much change, or they kind of rotate in and out. But we just came from Austin High. I mean, a good chunk of that varsity football team for Austin High going to play on the baseball team. A good chunk of them going to, play on the basketball team. And so it looks good for some on college applications where you kind of have, more on the resume, and you have more in the sheet. Let's hit him in close. Taking the floor here for the first time. And then Damani Jackson. And then Villegas. And, Jackson and Sanford both had a really big game. Last time we were here in the Eastview Gymnasium. Of course, Van Robertson and Sanford. The one thing talk about, and talking with Coach Toops, and it got brought up, hey, there's only, really one returning starter. Like, you had to replace a lot of guys. And how I made the comment, and I made the comment last week, there's a lot of experience out on the floor right now. And sometimes experience isn't just playing experience, right, in terms of they've been on the floor. But it's the cadence and the consistency that sometimes guys have, talk to it, the difference of having, especially, with Coach Toops kind of going into his third year here, it's the experience isn't just on the floor experience. It's you've picked up the experience of having Toops be that voice and that consistency, and sometimes that consistency can make all the difference in the world. You talk about stability, you talk about everything that goes into that. The experience is the system, the offense that Coach Toops may want to run, barring, of course, some tweaks. Defensively, kind of the same metric. And so opens up for a lot of fun. I think when you get into that you have that experience, and it allows some guys to really just kind of open it up. Starting the opening tip-off. And early, still a little bit of back and forth. Neither team quite able to get possession. And then early on, the Raptors picked up that possession here. They'll get into the hands of Jackson. to bring it across. He'll put it in the hands of Sanford. Back to Jackson. Jackson was all alone and then trying to put this down into the paint for Villegas. And just doesn't quite connect, just off his fingertips. I think you're going to have a much more exciting game here tonight as Sanford on the defensive end of the floor with a really good effort. Was going to have a good opportunity to lay up. Sanford not only avoids it, picking up a foul early, but he also forces the inbound as Sanford there as he's trying to cross over, and sometimes it happens. You bounce it off the foot, doesn't quite go the way you want it to go, and it rolls into the Eastview sideline. Sanford right now matched up one-on-one. Villegas here on the wing defensively. Raptors really trying to attack from the perimeter. There, a missed three attempt. Good defensive rebound by Robertson as Henderman close, trying to drive, kicks it down. Sanford under the basket, and just like that, Eastview on the board here first. Inbound here, missed the result that led to it. Henderman close with a steal. Puts it off the glass, but that allows for Sanford to come in and finish a job with a rebound. Jackson able to kick it out to Sanford, got tipped, and yet Sanford able to adjust. Great job by Villegas to keep it in play. Here's Damani Jackson trying to expand his range, and it comes off the front of the basket. Henderman close, and Sanford with the steal. Does a really, really good job. Eastview defense doing a really good job. Once that, and noticed it last week and was able to appreciate again a really good defensive performance then, but you can appreciate it here too, that as you come in and as you come down, as your opponent comes into the paint, this Eastview defense has continued to really kind of constrict. It's kind of like the trash compactor scene. From, Star Wars, for those who may recall that it's like the walls kind of close in on your opposing offense against this Eastview defense as Caden Henderman close, sets up, drives, layup off the glass here, and defensive rebound. Close, really good defense. Here's a three for the Raptors off the back of the rim, and see Coach Dukes kind of come up, hands up, like just let it go. If they can't get to it, you want to let it go out of bounds. It's just kind of one of those high IQ plays. Some guys, the adrenaline, the heat of the moment, they maybe don't think about it. They see ball, get ball kind of mentality. As Jackson just nice little kind of sidestep to try and create. Henderman close, puts this one up in the air. Only a 4-0 lead right now for Eastview, as Villegas gets a defensive rebound. By the way, Brandon Catelli on the floor right now in lieu of Damani Jackson right now. Jackson Getting a reprieve here on the bench as Henderman close. Tries to give a little soft touch. Soft roll off the fingertips, and it just misses. Excuse me. It's Catelli. Good defensive effort here. Henderman close. Kick back to Sanford, and his three-point attempt comes up just short. So a couple early scores, and right now it just seems like somebody screwed a lid to the baskets for both teams. Let's drive down here. Robertson unable to defend the baseline as well as needed, and just a good job. I mean, it's a better job on the Raptors' part, just able to drive inside, and Sanford trying to attack. It's fouled on the way up. So Sanford's first trip to the line here today, missed his first. Sanford second. Bounce off the rim. Robertson able to pick up the rebound. Here's Henderman close. Nice little move and a dish downstairs. Working underneath the basket. Cameron Sanford. Able to pick up the two he couldn't get before, and that'll lead to a Raptors timeout. A lot of back and forth. Early defensive effort here, and like I said, you just don't know what you're going to get, but you learn a lot about your team in the face of, adversity when you get into these games and it's closer. It's not, you can't take plays off, you can't take possessions off. Defensively, they're just a miscue defensively, gave up the crease down the paint. Maybe just a tad too easily. Not quite sure who should have stepped over to fill the void, but does close this down to a 2-point game. 6-4 Eastview lead, and a good one here. Sanford to inbound. Gets it to Catelli. Henderman close, trying to expand his range. Just missed. Again, coming up just a little bit short here tonight. It's the third one tonight. It's Sanford with a steal. Pokes the ball loose. Shows that deft ability, handle, and cover possession. Henderman close. Nice drive. A nice stop. Re-extends this lead here for Eastview to 4. A little double team in the Robertson. Able to just reach up, poke at the underside of the pass attempt here. Henderman close, a defense. And they'll get the jump ball call. Eastview takes possession now. Henderman close. Off the inbound from Cameron Sanford, brings it across. Catelli set up at the far side wing. A little creation here. Sanford, dish, kind of had two guys in the same spot. Not sure if it was meant for Catelli or Hinderman Close. Hinderman Close was the one to end up for it, and then Catelli will expand his range. Knocks down the three-pointer from that far side wing. Stoppage here. We'll see Catelli come off the floor. Damani Jackson rejoins the party. Still a little over a minute and a half here. Get your starters a few more reps. Here tonight, corner three off the glass. Villegas got over there to contest, and Jackson sees a one-on-one opportunity. Lost the handle on it. Hinderman Close. Diving effort. And now a little bit of a sudden change possession here. And LASA able to answer with a three of their own. Here's Cameron Sanford trying off the rim. A lot of movement, a lot of defense here early from both teams, and just a lot of missed shots. I mean, not quite the easy, wide open looks they got last week, and it's Damani Jackson trying to, it's a really good effort to put this back into play. Just couldn't quite come up with it. Hinderman Close being aggressive, attacking, poking at the ball. Corner three lands, though, for the Raptors as we near the final ticks here in the first. Jackson trying to get a bucket here before the end. Sanford had come off the floor. Catelli came in. Sanford back out there. As aggressive effort by Kane Hinderman Close to come down with one.
And your receive 13.
Before the end of the period. So we got a good one going here. Through one. Eastview with a 13-10 lead. Been a fun night so far here at the Patriot Gymnasium. Of course, lines across the walls here, all the different sponsors here that help to make Eastview basketball possible. Your five on the floor right now. Hinderman Close, Damani Jackson, Cameron Sanford, Isaiah Villegas, and DeMarco Wingwood Jr. as Cameron Sanford with the steal. And Sanford goes right down the floor with an easy bucket, biggest lead of the night. For either team. Of course, Eastview took that early lead, has not relented it yet, as Sanford is fouled on the way up. So Sanford will go to the line for his second time here tonight. He'll shoot 2. Missed his first 2 tries. And this one. I told you that lid is on the basket, and it has seemingly been there for the better part of the game for both teams. And, you know, and sometimes it's just, it happens. I mean, sometimes it's just, it's not your night. You have a tough time getting it, although Sanford hits that one. 6-point lead now for Eastview. And the Raptors quickly moving as Sanford with another steal. Here's Cameron Sanford. Soft touch. And Eastview starting to come alive. Inglewood Jr. defending. Little alley there down the inside into the paint. Nice pass from Sanford across the floor. Corner 3. Doesn't quite work out for Henderman. Close. Would have been a nice sequence if he could have delivered. And I tell you what, the one thing I love is watching Eastview defensively. And I get it in a sport and in a world right now that emphasizes, it seems, scoring and scoring as much as possible, right? You know, you think of it, you watch Major League Baseball, you want to see home runs, you want to see, you know, runners on the bases, rounding the base paths. You know, you want to see all of that. On the flip side, you know, you look at, you know, basketball, and it just seems like you're putting up more and more points. The 3 is continuing to be effective and continuing to grow. And then you look at football. What makes the world go round is offense, it seems like, and you know, scoring points in that capacity. And so it's just a part of it that it's the name of the game, but man, I gotta be honest with you. I love watching this team on the defensive side of the floor. The way they attack, I mean, the way they're just aggressive, constantly poking at the ball, trying to constantly create possessions, and a good effort by Wingwood Jr., and it creates a wide open opportunity. And score in transition, Henderman close. It's a nice little fast break opportunity. So, and it's been a few of those, just steals, couple turnovers, just creating possessions. There had a wide open look, chose a drive in. Robertson, by the way, did check back in, and with him came Brandon Easley. So you're 5 on the floor. Sanford, Robertson, Wingwood Jr., Easley, and Hinderman close. LASA can't hit their 2 free throws. And Eastview comes up empty on their ensuing possession. Good defense. Man, I tell you this every time. And I'll continue to harp on it. It's just consistently really good defense as Brandon Easley with a little fast break opportunity there. Really big opportunity, open lane there. Just a strong attack on that Eastview defense, and it leads to Eastview picking up their 4th foul. Go ahead and give the Raptors Montgomery here the and one. (22-13) your score here. Eastview in front by 9. They had a 12-point lead. It has since diminished. However, they have not given up the lead yet as Wingwood comes around, kicks it out to Robertson, who kicks it back out to Easley on the wing, who drives in. And then the kick over to Wingwood operating at the paint for the mid-range. Soft touch, gets it up and over. 24-13 the score here as we near this 4.5-minute mark. Majority of your bench for Eastview out here on the floor. Which I shouldn't say the majority with Robertson back in. He came off the floor, then came back out. As the Raptors find a way to answer here, 24-15. Enderman close. Nice, a good job. Throws on the brakes, although the pass, I don't know if it was a bit low. Wingwood, it came off his legs. So a couple substitutions here. Kane Hinderman close will come off the floor, as will DeMarco Wingwood Jr. Brandon Catelli comes on. Also on the floor comes off Brandon Easley. So back out on the floor now come Damani Jackson, Brandon Catelli, and Cameron Sanford. Damani Jackson, nice little pump. Creates that opening on the fake. It's a nice little double move. 11-point lead. 3 on the way. No good. Damani Jackson with a rebound. Fast break. Here's Sanford. And a foul gets picked up. Ali Jackson. As the guilty party. So that'll put LASA in the bonus as Eastview. It's their 5th foul here of the period. Loose ball. Catelli falls on top of it, though, for the jump ball and possession. Substitutions here on the LASA side of the floor. Eastview not making any changes. Villegas, Robertson, Sanford, Catelli, and Damani Jackson, the majority of your starters out there. Catelli has been really the 6th man as Cameron Sanford. It's fouled on the drive. Was coming around trying for the layup. I think Sanford was hoping he was going to draw the shooting foul. They do not give it to him. So 2:56 here in the second. I saw inbound to Robertson, and it goes off Damani Jackson's fingers from there. Just off the fingertip. And now the Raptors are breathing new life. And then there's been a few of those here tonight where, and in the same, it's not, you don't see it as often where, you know, it's not a shooting problem, as Catelli will stay on the floor. Van Robertson will come off. There's a little confusion here. There, we finally got it sorted out. So Van Robertson comes off, as does Damani Jackson in their stead. Hinderman close. And Ashton Martinez take to the floor here. Eastview content pass this around. Hinderman close. Draws a shooting foul from beyond the arc. As Hinderman close was, you know, he leaves the floor, and as he's coming back down, that leg gets kicked down, I think, from under him. And so LASA Liberal Arts and Science Academy of Austin picks up their fourth foul. Hinderman close, gets to shoot three. He's hit two so far. And Hinderman close, perfect from the charity stripe. Knocks down all three, gives a 29-15 lead to Eastview. Corner three on the way. Catelli tries to get over there to contest. And he does as Sanford collects the rebound. Villegas expands his range, knocks it down. Isaiah Villegas. Three on the way. The Raptors trying to respond. The offensive rebound from Cameron will put it in, and it'll be 32-17. Kick over Sanford. Back to Hinderman close. He's all the way back here by near half court. Sanford down, not much better off. Finally driving, slicing his way through. Just cannot get it to fall. Just a little bit high. Wide open look for three. Off the rim. Villegas with a rebound, and then Hinderman close. Having to act a little bit more like a wide receiver. Had to high point it and everything. And the Raptors it's their fifth foul. So both teams now on the bonus. Hinderman close, the way, shooting from the line tonight, it's probably the last guy you'd want to do that to because he remains perfect from the free throw line. Five for five, shooting from the stripe. Saw passing this around, three on the way, and it's an open look. Couldn't quite get over there in time to contest it. Good shot. Eastview will see how much Coach Toops and company tried to challenge here, or if they're going to be content to let the clock wind down. Henderman close, kicks it. Corner three from Martinez. Spins off the rim. And Ashton's field goal is not much better off. So we're through a half of play. And LASA sounds a little too close to Velociraptors for me. I'm gonna stick with LASA. Just because it's a little too close. But it takes you to the half. And we'll see a throng of individuals make their way to the concession stands just outside here and to your left if you're watching at home. It's a half a play, and with a 14-point lead, Eastview firmly just plant themselves in control. With a 14-point lead, you open yourself up the way this game has gone. It's been interesting. You have some really good defensive efforts on both sides. And it's 14 points. A few things that have gone into that. One, Henderman Close being perfect from the free throw line is a really big deal as part of it. I think the other aspect of it, though, that you look into it is Cameron Sanford has created a few extra opportunities, has had a few, possession changes that he was able to force or influence in some capacity. Damani Jackson right up there with him. You put those two together, if everything else is equal, and so far it seems like it has been, whether it's missed shots from both teams, whether it's defensive efforts, a few blocks from both teams, those kinds of things, contested shots not landing, things like that. If all of that is equal, then your differences right now has been Henderman Close and company doing really well from the free throw line, picking up what is being given to them when they're sent to the charity stripe, and then the extra possessions that Sanford has created that have led to points, leading to scoring in transition, a couple of fast break opportunities that they've been able to capitalize on. It gives you a 14-point lead. And right now, LASA is not able to create any extra opportunities, whether it's Montgomery, whether it's Cameron. They're just not creating any of that for themselves. They're not creating those extra possessions. So right now, it's all Eastview, in part because of that. Really good game, and it's a unique game in the sense that there's been a few loose balls here tonight where there's kind of some diving form that's kind of rolling around on the floor. It's something you don't usually want to see. And there's just been some, some nights you have where I mentioned it earlier, the lids on the basket, so to speak. Some nights you're not hitting your shots. You're just a little bit off, whether it's something in the mechanics or something you're just not feeling it that night for whatever reason. You're just a little bit late in the release. Whatever it is, for one reason or another, and it can be a myriad of reasons. Sometimes you're just not on from shooting standpoint. Now, there's different philosophies on how you handle that or how you approach that. Some guys, some of your pure shooters, they'll just keep taking shots and try to work themselves out of it that way. Other guys who maybe aren't in that same vein, they'll, maybe try and, they'll just pass it around. Try, if I'm not hot, then maybe somebody else is, and we'll just kind of pass it around until somebody gets hot. That all happens when you're missing shots. Like, that's all part of the atmosphere there when you're talking about shots not landing, shots not falling for either team. What's unique about tonight has been some of the handling blunders from each team, right? Whether it's a pass, it bounced off somebody's shins, bounced off somebody's knees. Sanford had one really early on where he's crossing it over, and either he mistimed it or he had to shorten his stride because the defender was in front of him. Whatever the case, he bounced it off his foot and it rolls out of bounds. There's just been some kind of unique handling misfires here tonight. Either way, though, I mean, and again, sometimes you get those, and it just adds kind of fun to watch. But 34-20 is your score right now. Eastview is in control, not quite working as far down the bench as you were, last week against Navarro, and that's okay. Again, as I told you then, you're not going to be able to go through the entirety of your depth, through the entirety of your bench, because a game gets so far out of hand. It's good to get them those reps in those games when you can. You do have a couple tournaments coming up where you're probably going to see your bench get utilized a little bit more. You're going to work through everybody, get them some opportunities. But these closer games like last week, last Saturday at Liberty Hill, just a few days ago, and then games like this tonight where it's a little bit closer, that margin's a little bit smaller, it allows your starters to continue to kind of gel as a starting five, continue to answer in the face of adversity, and it's a really good opportunity for them tonight. And then you kind of plug some guys in throughout and kind of work some of your bench in to give guys rest, but it becomes a little bit more emphasis on who's that core group, so to speak, right? Couple minutes here until the start of the third, and we'll take a quick break. You're watching Eastview basketball here on the Vype Live Network. We'll welcome you back in. Start of the third as we get going. And LASA. Raptors trying to get going early here. I'll pick up a bucket here. Your 5 on the floor to open up the first half. It's your 5 on the floor that opened jump in the first. Villegas, Robertson, Sanford, and Hinderman close. Speaking of Sanford, he responds with a bucket of his own, re-extending this back to 14. Shot on the way. Kicking this around. Three on the way from LASA. The answer. Well, drilling it down. Monty Jackson kicks it to Sanford. Sanford trying to expand his range. Just off the rim. That was a, see, when I was talking about the handling situations, it's things like that. That pass, just full on bouncing off of Cameron Sanford's foot. And it was from the LASA side. Like it wasn't anything I think that Eastview did. As Damani Jackson trying to contest a corner three, doesn't go. And a little loose ball here from Montgomery. And creates a foul. Shooting foul here on the Eastview side. A little bit more in foul trouble here tonight than they were a little less than a week ago. So here's Enderman close to bring this cross half court. 10-point lead. Damani Jackson kicks it back over to him. Back to Jackson. Those two kind of a little back and forth until Jackson slashes his way in for the basket. And then Villegas, a little bit of a press situation. Nice on mid-range. Answer there from LASA, just floats that. And then Jackson trying to do it himself, kicks it out. Henderman close. Expands his. Sanford with a putback. And Cameron Sanford with the answer. Coach Toops seems in the half turned up the aggressiveness on defense as Robertson tried to draw a foul. Doesn't get it. The layup will land for the Raptors. And it's a 10-point game. Sanford, the kick out. Villegas off the rim and a bounce off. On defensive rebound. Nice block from Villegas, and then Damani Jackson is able to get over there. Knocks that out of bounds. And a timeout will be taken. That's a really good job defensively by Robertson to fly over. Comes up, nails the deflection, gets that hand up for the block, and then Damani Jackson comes over with a good defensive effort. To bobble this around, want to take our time, thank our sponsors here.
Please give these sponsors an opportunity to your business. They do a lot more at Forward Decor.
Well, they think the sponsors here in the stadium, hey, we'll do the same thing. It's a good stoppage of play there for us to do it. And we'll do exactly that. The Georgetown Cap Company, and then Floor and Decor, and Georgetown Transmission, your sponsors for the season. It's what allows us to do, in part, what we do coming out here and broadcasting these games, being out here for all of you. We love it. We're having a blast. Hope you are at home as well here on the Vype Live Network. Your home for Eastview basketball. There's a lot of work here. Passing this around, still fighting. Finally, again, I mentioned in the first half, I'm going to say it again, and it's going to sound like a belabored point at this juncture, and I apologize in advance, but man, I just really love watching this team, this Eastview squad, defensively so tenacious, aggressive, making everybody try and work for it. Is Cameron Sanford on the way up. I think Sanford was trying to draw a shooting foul, and he will not. Instead, he will be the guilty party on the foul front. Second one here in the period for Eastview. LASA has kept themselves pretty clean here in the third, and though they trail by 10. Kick out. And that three just sort of airmails to Monty Jackson now. With the inbound to Henderman close to bring this cross half court down to 3.5 minute mark. Sanford kicks it. Henderman close on the drive to the basket. It's a really good bounce pass by Henderman close. Catch him in stride, and then a stop pass bounce off Robertson. He recovers it. And now to Monty Jackson. Trying to weave. Forces his way through the double team. And then is fouled on the way up. So they'll send Damani Jackson to the line. And he'll shoot two. It's a little broadcast curse there. I talked about how LASA kept themselves pretty clean here so far in the third. And then at the 3:09 mark, they pick up their first foul here in the third. Speaking of first, Damani Jackson misses his first from the charity stripe. And seconds off the back. And it seems there was a violation with it. So Damani Jackson gets to try it again. And then a quick substitution here. Jackson didn't have any trouble with that one. Knocks it down smooth as butter. As Henderman close. Did a really good job chasing this down, keeps it alive. No stoppage here. Henderman close. Ducks his way through. Was looking to Donnie Jackson coming down the baseline. I think it got deflected. It did. It was a foul.
Richard Rodriguez coming in for the Raptors.
And this one rattles in. Another trifecta. And now a missed opportunity, a missed pass. Was placed a bit too high. Now foul here against Kent. It's LASA's third. And so Jackson got to shoot two. Missed the first. Jackson knocks it down. Wingwood Jr. on the floor right now. Robertson had come off, so they kind of go a little small here. Vegas and Sanford are probably the two tallest out there as Wingwood wrestles it free. Timeout taken here by the Raptors at the 2:04 mark here in the third.
Floor and Decor and Georgetown Transmission, thank you for your support and give these business opportunity to do right and earn your business.
(47-30), Eastview lead. So the Raptors only have 2 timeouts remaining. They trail by 17, fighting to avoid an 0-2 start. Meanwhile, you have Eastview trying to go into tournament play this weekend with a 3-0 start to their season. Certainly as right now, on pace to do that. About 10 minutes of play time or game time remaining until that would be the case. As Villegas, nice pass, Cameron Sanford came free. And then just soft touch. Goes up by 19. A little bit of a full court defense right now by Eastview. Putting the screws to the Raptors as Sanford with the defensive rebound. Driving the floor. Draws the and one. Cameron Sanford. Lonnie Jackson comes off the floor. In comes Brandon Catelli. Sanford got fouled on the way up. So the and one from Cameron Sanford. Knocks it down. Again, this full court defense right now on display. And it works out, the missed pass. Villegas gonna take the three. Can't get it to go. Wingwood Jr., just a great effort to keep it in play. The kick out, Catelli was gonna start from the corner, then tries to wrap around and drive to the basket. And he is fouled. It's a fifth one by LASA. I'll put the put Eastview rather in the bonus. 1:18 to play here in the third. As Catelli makes his first. Second one off the front of the rim. And Hinderman close with a takeaway. And then Cameron Sanford off the dish. Lays it up. Hinderman close. Comes up with another turnover. Tries to expand his range, can't get it, but Sanford with the offensive rebound. Now feed it back to Hinderman close. And Cade Hinderman close tries to kick it down. And out to Sanford, and he'll pick up a travel violation. 51 ticks here to play in the third as Eastview starting to pull away. And this one, the press is on. This is a long throw. It's like a quarterback, and Caden Hinderman close playing a little defense. It's still football season. Sure it is. Who told you it wasn't? As Wingwood Jr. will come off the floor, DeMarco Wingwood Jr. A lot of good effort moments for him, keeping a possession alive, helping Eastview to retain it, and then Ashton Martinez will come in his stead onto the floor. And Hinderman close. Caden Hinderman close found, told you earlier, probably not the guy you want to send to the line. He has been spot on from the charity stripe here tonight. That mark will continue. And he'll do it again. Caden Hinderman close will remain perfect from the free throw line. Isaiah Villegas comes off the floor. He'll get looked at. And in his stead will come on the sophomore Damian Kaleha. Eastview up 57-30. A drive as Kaleha does a really good job of staying in there to contest. Ashton Martin, or Martinez, excuse me. Saw Ashton Martinez, I think Aston Martin. It's not my fault, it's just sometimes your mind just kind of the way it correlates something. As Martinez there to contest, does a really good job. And Kane Hinderman close will come off the floor now. Damani Jackson takes his place. And this will go out of bounds on the errant pass from the Raptors. Well, we're through three. Eastview leads 57-30 over the Raptors of LASA. We'll be back in just a moment for the start of the fourth here on the Vype Live Network, your home for Eastview basketball. You know, they were playing "Welcome to the Show" in the break between quarters or periods, and you know, I'm sitting here and I'm listening to it, and I always associated that song with baseball season. I don't know why. I don't know if it's because of MLB The Show, or if they, you know, when you hear them talk about it, they refer to it as the show. But that's what I think of when I hear that song get played. I think I've heard it during baseball season too. As another bucket here, been a busy night for Sanford. You're 5 on the floor right now. It's a 5 that ended you the third period. As a corner 3 from LASA comes up empty. The offensive rebound, not much better there. Shooting foul. Thanks to Damian Kaleha. Will send Asher to the line to shoot 2. But you're 5 on the floor right now for Eastview. Damian Kaleha, Devontae Jackson, Cameron Sanford, Ashton Martinez, and Brandon Catelli. First one on the way. Knocked down by Asher. Second one does the same. And we don't want to foul him. Going forward. Here's Devontae Jackson. Walking it up, setting up the offense here. Down to the corner, Asher Martinez was getting flushed out of the baseline. Able to put it back into play by getting it to Jackson. And Devontae Jackson now gets sent to the line. So he'll shoot 2. And he will sink his first here in the fourth. His first of 2. Puts him 2 of 4, and he'll sink the second. So 3 of 4 from the line here for Jackson thus far here in the second half. As the air ball leads to a rebound here from Devontae Jackson. Kicks it down, driving Catelli with a bucket. And Eastview. They gave up the baseline there of the overshot pass, or overshot attempt. And then Catelli gets knocked over. Was trying to hit the brakes, and he gets run into from behind. Now Easley will come on the floor. Out will come Cameron Sanford. He's been a busy bee tonight, playing a lot of minutes here tonight in this one. One of the rare moments where he's come off the floor. Is the other part of it too. You're trying to get your guys into game shape, so you're kind of leaving guys out there longer, let them rack up some minutes early. Just to kind of help with the conditioning phase of it is Kaleha kicking it around. And now a change of possession or turnover here. From LASA is bouncing around. And foul call there. So Cameron will step to the line. He'll shoot 2. knock down his first. And sinks a second. 63-34, Eastview lead. And a timeout taken by the Raptors. They will have only the one remaining here with just under 6 minutes to play in this one. Pretty good turnout for a Tuesday night. You know, Tuesdays are always kind of hard. You got the middle of the week and everything else, and you're not in district, so you know, early season it's kind of slow going a little bit, especially before the holidays and everything else. You really kind of see the traffic or the seats kind of start to fill in once you get out of, you know, I would say really past the Thanksgiving break. Once December rolls around, it starts to kind of pick up. And then even more so from there, after the Christmas and New Year break, it starts to really ramp up. Catelli to Jackson. Jackson with a spin and then a layup. It's a really nice spin from Damani Jackson. It's maybe not quite, I know it's been trending on social media, the Jeremiah Love spin move from over the weekend, but that was a pretty impressive one all the same from Damani Jackson. First one missed, second one misses for Ramirez. And Kaleha trying to extend his range from beyond the arc of the corner. Can't get it. Damani Jackson, though, creates a turnover. And Brandon Easley comes up with a bucket on the assist from Jackson. Three on the way. There's 6 on the floor right now. There's a little confusion for Eastview. Jack Strzeski will come on the floor for Brandon Catelli. But he came out, and then Catelli was coming off, and then both Coach Toops and the official were pointing aside. I don't think they told Strzeski he could come on yet. Jackson, though, kicks it to Easley. Easley driving, lays it up. And now a little struggle there. And this foul easily came over the top swinging. Both teams now with 3 fouls apiece. Bounce off the rim. So Eastview will put this in play. Only about 4 minutes left. Strzelecki comes back to Jackson and gets it across half court. And he'll kick it out. Damian Aleja can't get there. Kick out Martinez. He can't get it to go. I said Valleja, I meant Calleja. I apologize. Jackson puts one up here, so 71-36. Eastview leading and in control as Jackson contests the shot there. Damian Calleja kicks it over easily. Calleja. Martinez. Jackson. Monty Jackson driving. Picks up the and one. So Scott, the guilty party there. Damani Jackson comes to the line. Scott will come off the floor. Jackson hits the and one. And just like that, Damani Jackson would think his night is through. To go up 74-36. Drive, the kick out. This one spins off the rim, and Strzelecki came up with a defensive rebound. Had to hold on to it for his life. He only had an arm hooked in there, so LASA retains possession. This bouncing around. Strzelecki gets the rebound here. And just like that, Strzelecki, he loses it. LASA trying to create possessions here. And on what felt like their sixth try at it, Raptors able to get it through, find the net. Strzelecki from beyond the arc in the corner. Can't get it to hit. It's a little over 2 minutes remaining in this one, and Eastview will be in firm control. And now we'll get an opportunity back here. So Strzelecki will inbound here from the corner. Rogers will check in here for the Raptors. Martinez gives it back to Strzelecki. Little pump fake action here. Ashton Martinez driving, and it spins off the rim. And then easily comes up with a steal, kicks it down to Calleja, and Damian Calleja knocks this one down. That's a trifecta there. Brandon Easley comes off the floor. On the floor right now for Eastview, Ashton Martinez, Kobe Wetter, Damian Kaleha, Jack Strzeski, Ashton Martinez, and Jerome Wideway Prince. Your 5 on the floor right now for Eastview. $113 remaining in this one. Eastview got a little fun coming up here this weekend. We'll have a tournament coming up. Right now, that first docket, or first game on the docket, rather, Somerset. So we'll have a nice little tournament kind of going in through the weekend. As free throw, 1 of 2 was made, 77-41 the score. And Kaleha, really good defense there to force a contested shot. Gets it to Martinez. Asher Martinez driving, able to kick it out to Strzeski. And he'll have that one come off the rim. No good from the corner. And that was 100% out as Martinez kind of hooks his arm in across the chest, and it's almost kind of like something out of television where you have 2 guys kind of stop somebody, just both reach in and grab them by the arm. Try to clothesline them or something along those lines. But talk about it, tournament coming up this week, starts Thursday, goes through the weekend. And then we'll be back Tuesday next week, middle of the afternoon. A 1:30 tip-off start time to get you going early. As Kaleha gets it Martinez, Asher Martinez. Can't extend his range. Time ticking away here. And that'll do it.
All right, your final score. The LASA Raptors 32, Eastview Patriots 77. Basketball fans, please give a round of applause for both of these.
So 77-42, the final score in this one. Eastview will hold on and collect the win. Again, it's just kind of a night where Eastview gets that lead and they take care of business. And sometimes that's all it is. A lot of positives, I'm sure, that Coach Toops will take away from this one. Maybe a couple things, that you want to see kind of, tweaked. I know there was a couple of defensive miscues, it felt like, where there were some gaps in the middle of the defense that, led to a couple slashes through. It's just kind of early on that, pulled some guys over with some movement. Kind of creates a couple free lanes, free opportunities at the basket. Not quite the way you'd want it to go. So, but overall, I think you create opportunities, look pretty good from the free throw line. It's not much more to be said beyond that, and it's enough. You don't create extra possessions, you don't create extra opportunities for your opponent. You create some for yourselves, and then you perform above 50% from the free throw line as a team that gets the job done, and that's enough. And that's what it takes sometimes, is to do that, to work if you can hit those goals, right, above 50% from the line, I think, closer games, you want to be above 70, 75% in that range. You want to be up there towards the top. Of course, every coach is going to tell you we want you to make every single free throw. But, if you're above, those kinds of thresholds, that helps if you're creating possessions or you're creating opportunities, you're forcing takeaways, you're not giving away the ball at all. You continue to create and you will continue to churn out those kinds of opportunities. And it just opens up a different realm entirely. And, as you get into closer games, those margins are going to get smaller. Those things matter more, right? They're emphasized now, but they will matter, I guarantee you, once you get into district. If you start looking ahead at this is a team that you want to ride into the playoffs and you want to start talking about a playoff caliber team. Those are things you have to create. You have to happen. Have to create turnovers. Have to be able to perform at the free throw line and be able to knock those down. Those are all part of it. But the way Eastview's playing, I've said it, you start out 3-0. This is a team that looks, I said last week there's not a lot you can take away from the 102 to, 26 win over Navarro, from who this team is. You can't make any, widespread sweeping conclusions. You're 3 games in, you still can't really make any widespread sweeping conclusions. Aside from this, the identity of this team is stout defensively and create extra possessions, right? Both of those, now I get it, those two things kind of seem like, well, how, those kind of go together, but it's, if you're stout defensively, you're not giving up shots, you're forcing a lot of contested shots, you're making it difficult for shots to land, and making it difficult to hit the basket, and then you're creating turnovers while in transition. It just creates an element that you can't ignore, and that makes it challenging for teams to overcome. If you have those two items and you are excelling in those two areas, that's tough to overcome. That's a big ask to try and overcome. And so I think it's pretty clear, pretty concise. The identity of this team is very strong defensively, very physical, in your face defensively as a team. When they're on, the back court of the floor, they're on their side of the floor. This is who you are as a team. This is what Eastview is. And then tonight they kind of really opened it up and really leaned into that, brought a little full court press into the second half. You had that element as being a part of it. Aggressive, going to town on it and being in your face about it. Flip side, offensively, you're just creating shots, and it's in a variety of ways, and it's not, when you talk about players taking a game over, you kind of think of guys scoring and becoming scoring machines. Well, for Eastview right now, when a player takes a game over, they're creating possessions and shot opportunities. They're not necessarily putting up a lot of points, even though you have guys who are, Sanford, Jackson, names that might come to mind for you. But they're just creating a lot of opportunities, and they're creating a lot of shot opportunities on the perimeter because of how willing they are to attack the baseline. Some teams don't have that. Some teams don't have guys who are willing to get down to the baseline, to drive, to get into the paint, to attack. That they're almost, shy about it. But Coach Toops has instilled into this team a physicality that is just, they're willing to get into the paint. They're willing to get dirty. Doesn't matter who it is. I mean, you've got the point guard, driving in, willing to drive the basket and create opportunities. So, look, they're 3-0. They look like a really good team. They're going to be a really tough team to beat again this season, the way they look right now, and especially in large part because of what they're doing on the defensive end and the way they're able to create takeaways and shot opportunities right now. 77-42, the final score here from Eastview. That'll do it for us. They'll have the tournament coming up this weekend. We won't be there. Tournaments are always kind of crazy and hectic, but we will be back coming up on Tuesday next week, middle of the afternoon. Don't forget the early start, 1:30 here at Eastview as Rouse will come to town to take on the Patriots. Until then, I'm David Arroyo, signing off on behalf of the entirety of our broadcast crew and our broadcast partners. You've been watching the Vype Live Network, your home for Eastview basketball. 77-42, Patriots get the win. They're 3-0. We'll see you next week.